All right, guys, what's going on? Good afternoon. My name is Carlos Garcia, founder and CEO of G.A.R Capital. Thank you so much for joining me today and every afternoon, 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time here on the YouTube channel. This is your first time here. Make sure to hit that like button if you like these videos. Make sure to share it with anyone who would be interested in these videos. Here to help in any way. Comments always welcome. All right, so let's go ahead and get started here. Dow fell today 597 points. The NASDAQ fell 1.59%, S&P down 1.55%. The VIX gained 10%. The equal weight S&P fell even more, down 1.72%. Most of that is financials. We'll go over that in a little bit. Small caps lost 1.88%. The dollar index down, actually it was up 0.69%. 10-year yields, this is the big one. This is the one I really want to focus on today, was 10-year yields. Look how much they fell today. They broke 1.7. A lot to talk about there. Gold up 1.82%. GLD, silver, SLV up 4%, 23.54. Bonds, high yield bonds fell 0.28%. Investment grade bonds were bought. Again, that kind of went with treasury yields as well. The big one today also was commodities. Crude oil gained 11%, 106.34 a barrel. Remember, we've been saying $100 a barrel for a while now. Again, we're starting to get close to that resistance, guys. Just be careful. $3.14 for gasoline, up 7.31%. And of course, we talked about gold and silver. So, and then also crypto did jump today, 5% for Bitcoin futures, 44,135, and then Ethereum futures near 3,000, smidge under that, up 4.4%. What I want to go over today, before we take some questions, is I want to look at the day's performance in terms of the market, which sectors gained and what didn't. So cyclicals, we knew were usually when the stock market's down, cyclicals are pretty much leading the way. You can see what's on the top of the range here. Energy being up 0.8%. We know with oil going up, and gasoline. Basic materials kind of softened the burden. We talked about when inflation usually is up, materials are a way to go. Energy, materials, industrials. Industrials did not have a great day today either. 1.72% to the downside. But again, utilities kind of mixed. So not seeing a lot of fear out there in terms of like looking at a bond proxy that is utilities. It's kind of like bonds and stocks, but for the most part, only energy did well. Financials collapsed today. Why? Because yields fell. And that's pretty wild to see that we had yields fall that much. So again, we're starting to see kind of a little more fear baked into the system. Maybe the equity markets are not reflecting it, but the bond market is giving you a little bit of a hint. And that's what I usually like to follow is bonds, the bond market. So again, you're seeing so much bond buying, I can either attribute to one or two things. It could be a panic of what's to come in the future. Maybe this is a short-term dead cat bounce, and the bonds are pricing that, hey, we may get some more weakness ahead, being at 1.7, or it could just be rebalancing a lot of portfolios where bonds need to be bought. It says as they were sold last month. So again, it could be just an allocation in terms of different hedge funds and mutual funds, which is pretty normal. But not this kind of move. You don't get that kind of move in yields. That's not usual. Again, you'll probably get 50 basis points, 40 here and there, but you're talking about 132 basis points just today. That's not normal. So again, there is some support that we're starting to come up to on the daily on TNX, 166. We start breaking below that. That's where it starts really getting interesting. Today was today's move on the S&P in relative terms to the bond market. Again, we're kind of stuck in that range. 42.52, that support kind of held. 43.71, we pierced above it 3 times. We're right in the middle of that. If we built a little Fibonacci retracement level just between these here, we'd be right in the middle of that too. So almost like in the middle of a half. Kind of weird to say, but that's where we are. So did anything stand out to me in terms of, oh, we're in trouble? A lot of things that stood out to me today in terms of just looking at the market. Again, kind of a range between 40-80, that 100-day moving average on the hourly, and kind of around that 200-day on the hourly as well. That 43.20, 42.80, we're kind of stuck between a 40 handle range. So again, kind of bulls and bears fighting. So what I'm looking at here, I think that today was one of those sell into Powell's speech on Wednesday in front of Congress, sell the State of the Union where Biden speaks tonight. Maybe he says something like we're going to war, or it could be anything. So it's probably looking like a risk off move with bonds being bought so aggressively, commodities being bought so aggressively. Kind of the hedging for a worst case scenario in terms of the State of the Union address tonight, which has happened many times during the previous administrations. I've seen that with futures, especially the last one with President Trump. So again, we're going to keep an eye on the futures market, but the bond market could be signaling something more pain is ahead, or it could just be a giant rebalancing, or it's a very short-term trade where they're buying treasuries into these major events. Some of the major events tomorrow that I highlighted on Twitter is the OPEC meetings tomorrow. We have that out of Vienna. So again, we're going to see if OPEC keeps supplying the way they're still supplying. Are they going to add more supply? You can see that jump in oil prices today. And then we have an ADP employment report that comes out. That's just private payrolls. Fed President Bullard is going to speak. Last time he spoke, the market was not happy with what he said. He's a hawk. And then we have Powell testifying in front of the House. So again, we have so much going on in such a short period of time. Looking at it here, I think that we go up. I think we'll test 43.71 to 43.80. I think the State of the Union becomes a non-event. Powell will probably just say we're going to stick to the path of fighting inflation, and we're just going to see what happens with Ukraine. But as of right now, Ukraine and Russia does not affect our economy in the short term or in the long. That's pretty much my guess. Let's answer some questions. What's up, GS? Thanks for joining, GS. I believe he has a question. So no questions so far after that monologue, which is totally cool. Last one. Next question. Thoughts on swinging that SPY call from today? Any chance of that with State of the Union tonight? Yes. Like I said, I do have a SPY call open. I believe they're the 434s, I believe. Yeah. So 434, you can see right at that 20-day and right at that 50-day middle level. So I believe that tomorrow will be a tonight's State of the Union will pretty much be a non-event. The last two times Biden spoke, the market did go up. So again, I think the market is just pricing just maybe some war talk or declaration of war. Maybe I don't know exactly what they expect Biden to say, or maybe they expect Biden to fumble the speech and it just becomes incoherent. Maybe not well thought out. Maybe has a bad speech all in general. I mean, who knows? But yes, I do believe SPY has more shot to the upside. I actually think we get to 440 by the end of the week, personally. Did you buy anything recently? I buy the same thing every week, SPY-G on Thursdays. I do my dividend stocks every month. I still buy Fundrise, but today, no. I did trade today, yes. So that's what I've been watching. I did open a SPY call. I had a SPY close. So we closed the signal on a SPY call. It was the 440 calls. I held onto them, so I'm still holding them, even though the members got them. So I have a 440 call and the 434 call holding. So that's where I expect a little more upside. I think 440 by the end of the week gets us home even with all these events. I think the market is pricing in almost to the point of we're going to retest lows, which I don't think that's the case. Thank the Lord. Did a stock white? Hey, Carlos. Good afternoon. Are we bullish? I am. I actually am bullish. Looking here, looking at the hourly chart on E-mini futures or SPY, we can look at SPY here, bouncing right off that 100-day moving average. And ever since we've kind of been testing that. Last time we jumped off it, we're kind of in between that level of 437 and 425, where the bulls and bears are fighting. A break of 425. Now you're looking at 418, 410 possibly. You start breaking above 437. It's a big one because then we start talking about getting into the 445. So again, right in that middle where the bulls and bears are fighting for it. End of the year target remains 5,100 on the S&P. On a best case scenario, I believe it was 5,200. 5,000 was my base case. So yes, 5,000. I definitely expect the stock market to hit 5,000 this year. Absolutely. I don't have any qualms about that, to be completely honest. Same thing with Bitcoin going up, still holding that, still investing in that. Nothing has really changed on that side. But again, everything is what we have to do. Yeah, did you personally do any puts on banks today? Remember I talked about that this morning, that I was looking at puts, but there was no volume. There just wasn't enough to do anything. But again, the breaks weren't enough with the volume there, so I did not fill any personally. But again, it was a good strategy if you had it right at the open because the yields fell. But the thing with financials, you got to get out of them the same day because they flip literally the next day. I've traded JPM and Goldman Sachs so many times, I've gotten burned every time that I held it for too long. And that's the worst part of holding those banks. All right, guys, we'll end it there. Have a great rest of your afternoon. I will catch you guys tomorrow for the morning note, 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. We got a lot to go over. We'll probably break down the State of the Union address, what stood out. But again, as always, if you want live market blog coverage from me, I'm always on the Twitter retweeting the news. I will talk during the State of the Union address as well. I'll just retweet most of the headlines. So at least you guys that don't want to watch don't have to, or if you just want to see what's really important, by all means, take a look at our Twitter page at G.A.R Capital right here. I appreciate you guys as always. We'll catch you guys tomorrow. Cheers.